And Nadia Basa Beba. And a related development, EC Ekase, me patrol se wo kwa to aba enya feina. And for nose mask baswa ya branding no party be colors na show there be. Me patrol share one fan ko ho. Okay, abusia ye be kwa homa no so onim se election e be ba no difo ahodo na na hye nkom hye de hin na be bam de hin na mbam. Ya de ni twem e wo Prophetic Hill Chapel na odifo da no e Prophet Nigel Gazy ya ne twetwe nkomo. Baba no tie nka nyame asom dwen ka wana pay.
Asempa, me chino, I'll say good morning to you, and I'll say good morning to your cherished listeners.
Nyamene hene china na wokano enti ode. I hope so wapo mu ye de.
Nyame me mobo, nyame mobo, me ya bompa throughout the night. Sia na me do fie na onko for the first on pesa o me kasa enti nyame mobo.
Asemo nyame de wa hu ye nyina mobo na nyame se den de mpa na nyame ka hwe asafo no.
Nyame de say be okasa bebrede ne ya woka nti obetuma if you ask your specific questions then we can stick to that.
So when wakwa rade anima no pay afi ne wakodu fie nti anya wakọ nanim no waka bibi ana no pay de onkasai.
Okay, asempa me da wase me san chia obium na otim na wo me chia o man na no pay. Me chia o man Ghana so for paying be otie na me chia masof ba Prophetic Hill Chapel na erade ka e ba ko erade say yen vote into President Akufo-Addo Abanwe.
Zana erade e kan
me pa chane.
Erade ankasenka yembra na sorry fie ne yembesom no yembompaye. Then you make an say you vote to a byway.
Oh, if I say, so like I said, the bringing near Eradi Eka, but I think, say, Empire, so Unya Bambonia now, Bambonia, Unya Bambonia, it's will not support Empire Kura Enko. So, yes, here. Romans chapter 13, 1-2, therefore, say every authority is established by God. But in this time, like I said, I do fear bonfire throughout the night. But I'm still seeing consistently. So on mine, I'm still seeing say already said two President Akufo-Addo Abanwe on mine back 1983. That's what I'm saying.
Prophet Nigel Gazy, a different ya muhu ade ne saying. No nyame ba ko pe. We ya kire we be wini. E bo so we ya kire muhu ne saying.
Me 5 senses me hu ade. Me mani ne bie me I dream, I see vision and masum yenini na tiba right ne pa na te. Me 5 senses ni na nyame fa so ene me kasa.
There walking and the prophet also bempa a can a boy braka crab. Also, as there be oko in the realms of the spirit, a former president Mahama Nakunyano Kra, Yabutuno, former Nyadi Osiaba, also sing a mere yachro say obe winnie.
Okay, baby, so for I will be a bit piano. By a Jumana Yeno. So, okay, a monthly version of Sierra de Enya Bibi, I just way Nenkoa Edifo. And I will maybe any Udifua eradi I believe God said a remono. Bahani D4 near or can a bem. And I believe God said remono. In recent time, this will be any Ghana, a radical fan of Swashishan and common for Manoma, Adom watching Prophet Nigel Gazy. I'm not saying I'm the only prophet or I'm the only powerful prophet, but media, I'm answerable to near Radi enemy Kasa. Near Radi Yatsam or say or mine or rejected President Akufo-Addo Abanwe. Young fa Kwame Drama Nimbra. Now, the country will go back to the dark days of 1983. Near D4 phobia, I'm not answerable to it. And near D4 phobia, Bible said there should not be any private interpretation of every prophecy. In comes to be a D-phobia, let's see is it consistent with scripture. So D-phobia say, oh man, penny be and I say you are Konga or Sura in Kofobi Buni de I'll not speak to it, but let's go into the scripture. Let's go into the Bible. Is it in the Bible? It's not in the Bible, it's inconsistent with scripture. So we dismiss it and treat it with a pinch of salt that it deserves. But media near Radia Yatsem, near Radineme Cano, and if Abanwe, year rejection or mine Ghana, Monday year court general election or mine and reject President Akufo-Addo Abanwe.
Before dear Nanka, wait dear Fihin, a Jaya Bamona, I see a baby, sir, dear Radica, my catcher, and Yabba for Riani, a baby. It's a minimum one for politics, and away can we be we so bokwaha when you're sure Zeka when you're Catherine.
As a Parmesan, was message, it should be or Becca, maybe no new Bible. Because in the beginning, Nyamiasem any other form we are saying Nyamiasem is about management. When you talk about politics, you can't talk about politics divorce of the role of the prophet or with the role of the clergy. Some patriotism. Don't forget, say, with the civilization of the world began from somewhere, from theocracy. Then we came to different types of government. Now we are in democracy. Eradi rules and affairs of men. And Okan Romans chapter 13, like I said earlier, or say every authority is established by God. And Nyami enye bibia on fan ne default so. Hosea chapter 12 verse 10, it was said by the hand of the prophet, Israel was delivered and sustained. And Amos chapter 3 verse 7, Hosea radi enyo bibia enfa na default so. How much will a politician give somebody like Prophet Nigel and I say default be? That be a near radi fire so yet at the default no radi for almost John the Baptist time on the Herod Kasai is about government. You cannot rule, there cannot be any rulership without the role of the prophet. Samuel was a prophet. David, Numunyana, Nathan, Numunyana, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Numunyana, they spoke to powers. Into Ubika say a default domo for politics, but then they don't know the word of God. Because the government of the day and the inferiority, because God will not do anything. That is what my Bible tells me. Without the prophet. Into any politician the Christ said 4 years. I try 8 years. But with D4, software, your horn must have to say rather be frame.
Now, Prophet Nigel about to say, Ocean come man into Fanchina.
And comes since a radio framing, comes about open a radio from a asa in me clearly by interpretation meaning wrong. That is about the Nigeria Buhari article. And that time, now I was going through a lot of stress into me, but my interpretation is wrong. Aside that, Nyame Farmer so Eshen comes to Donald Trump, Ebeba. 2016 or by 2020, we are mission come by the Spirit of God. So, Donald Trump, Elusia. Nyame Farmer so Eshen come, Remakola, Ejaya CNS, mission Hong Kong, mission come say, Jomahama Beba, one requirement, Jomahama, Cronon, Dandrin, so Beba, and Namia do Monday, latest by 11 p.m. at 12 minutes. I better say, Jomahama, the next president of the Republic of Ghana. Into me a young man, and Yami Salmo, and you can check my track record. Mission come, say, referendum member, so ambassador income say be bringing here a radio farm, so I can't abim. Me mention come apart from back unknown me, but I had the interpretation wrong. And me Yamin Kwan me because I see him bet and prophesy him bet. But this time the Ubi Samia a radio so Bibia or door mine Ghana, young 20th president Ekufuado Abang, Yemfa. John Mahama, 2016, don't forget, say, Nyamishan comes a President Kufuado, Ebeba, Obane. The evidence are there, you can Google, you can check it. But Nyamihu, many so near Radicachem. A Radicachem, see a Tuma President Kufuado, man of the court darkness. Now, many visions be bring Yami be many. Now, Nyamima who say, First Lady Rebecca, your friend saying, Nana Adon Reno. Respectfully. Yes, Nyami be many, now, Radi de Mekwasa, Sibiso. Na mihuno say na isum ena na maame no etim all of a sudden no person connect or ye ni obe bia wentimi an connect isum na no me say hu vision bia na chief of staff aban ho vision no ma also adeso abebrain ena obi attaching pena na owo hem na ho nyina yesu nti medium ye d4 nyame na mekasa o man beti a beboa o man ntie nso a me bi beba ye nyina will see the ramification and effects.
Oh, yeah, sure, sir. Article Buhari stress and come to be now. They share former President Mahama.
Oh, and young Mahama, President Mahama, me sharing that me home that may show my Ghana and come by the Spirit of God. And then they may catch on and say, may try and error prophets. My evidence are there for all to see. by the Spirit of God. Even my worst critics and my worst divorce of biasness, I mean, they will testify as a branch and in Yamin Sound. So, me can say, look, I mean, come whilst there was no way, say, a political party in Ghana bet you should run mate or your bar. The Radisi and TSA political party no ban be vice president. At that time, President Mahama con intention on 94 year class or mobile win nomination, whatever they call it respectfully. And how much you saw about into the check consistency of the prophecy, and a prophet be anyone man the prophecy will be 100%. And yet they are back home you be a bit me a floppy on an match say, oh ye nipa. Your nyame pen or kasa ain't me floppy. But baby I'm like I told you, Makonya mieni bebring. A radical main country of my Ghana, may a friend me prophet Nigel sending selfie President Kufuor ban whistle. Say and then back what I'm saying we a radical cham ye mo shame in the say yan 20 year President Kufuor ban ya. Ghana back 1983. A radical cham me mami say homosexuality ebe the order of the day. Now me a normal be branding near me in short now me can say rather say ye post obi be or do or my Ghana. Obi bia or wishes said the nation Ghana be konenim a rather see and tontia President Kufuor ban.
But when I jogezi ya de besi nemo mon come say we am be ma waso be shepao.
Maso anyeshe ena nyame kame ho nyame ne kasa once as spoken twice have we has 2 million ekurade nti ena nyame ne afama no mo asamaka nti ebebem ntimi feel nti o man nti
odifo nyame asum dwe kama no pay why so ni atwetwe kama.
God bless you, sir.
Right. So for Prophet Nigel Casey, AOD for that Prophetic Hill Chapel, I know Nesem no dia to Ghana. Yeah, but my this Sabeka Prophet Usu Bempanafe, yeah, no, Achichin Como. Adom 106.3 FM. Just so same Medino as we saw Wutie. But in the same part, join your Facebook in the Achichin Como. Yeah, D4E King. I didn't try to say now also, Uhono, Ebi Krana Wono, also a secret D4 or da, also die. Well.
Yo, we take my wire say, but we go fiki nata. High grade family, West Side legacy. It's Dr. Ray on the beat. Lord of mercy, make it down for life and family. We come back it up, lock it up, back and tight this. Yeah, Dada bless me, me drop and then one cause traffic. Better no man a vest it up, change style up than the other way. They my bag in the shamba. I go look for was Sophia Nava. Shadi yaba na yaba ya yaba da mada Get your hustle and die attrition and I brother see shit yeah boy. Where the girl them? Give me that to wind up. Yo bushu, yo jigu, yo kwa klaba. Yo bobo, yo sogu, yo jikapa. Yo kuchu, yo bahad, yo bavaga. Forget your you when you want to visit.
And it was for 2 minutes after 7 hours. Presidential candidates and any more running mate or more rapid up on this. It was a 72 hours. You got 12. And I don't pay a back home on so nothing. And then Mawena Triba, on a spokesperson and head of communications, office of the vice presidential candidate 2020 for the National Democratic Congress. Yeah, back on after Yenin Archichin, come on.
Second in a daddy, buggers a brass bang now on the dab. Why they escape from Sobibo?
I was from Munch Van Chairman, come on, Chichi.
I bet him go. You boom out to low 247.
I bet Cabra for Casa. We are not sure about just a joining me or bet church room. Mawena, if you can hear me, good morning.
Good morning, Asempa. How are you?
It is well, and how you doing yourself?
God's grace continues to abound in our lives.
Wow. I'm sure it's been very tiring moment. It's not easy.
It's I think really there are two things. You know, Professor Poko Ejiman has traveled the length and breadth of this country. That's 16 regions over the last several months. And I think that, as you rightly said, I mean, we are human beings. We must be realistic. There have been very high points in the campaign. There have also been some low points, I must say. And if I were to summarize it, I think the high points would be around the kind of love, the kind of warmth, the kind of excitement that has greeted her in every single region she has been to. But I also think on the other side of it, if you look at the low points for her, and I think for all of us who have followed her on this campaign, the low points have been just looking at the numbers of marginalized people who live in our country, people who have real challenges with poverty levels that should embarrass every Ghanaian, whether you are economically stable or not. We should not have people in our country who still do not have access to clean water, who still have issues with basic education and quality education for that matter. But I think for Professor Opoku Agyeman, she has certainly come across in her campaign activities as somebody who's very determined to be focused on the issues. And I'm sure, as I'm speaking to you from Cape Coast, where she started her campaign activities and where she is ending her campaign activities, being her home region, it has become abundantly clear that the messages that she has put forward are messages that have really resonated with Ghanaians, asking people to, first of all, ensure that we focus on peace and we make sure that there's inclusiveness and unity. Just because we are having a political discussion doesn't mean that we need to become abusive, insulting, and so on and so forth. And that has characterized too much of our political discussion. So it doesn't allow us to focus on the issues. If I talk about the fact that she has been consistently talking about issues, when she sits and she listens to people in these communities, the evidence is there to see. The images are there for everybody to see. She takes the time to actually listen to people's problems, their challenges, and identify tangible outcomes, tangible alternatives. So when she asks people to look at track record, let's put everything else aside and just focus on what you see and what you have been experiencing. And I think that is why a lot of people have been attracted to her. She's very focused on the issues. I think there's also the question of what she has said repeatedly, almost everywhere she has gone, that when people give you power, you are supposed to return the power to the people through accountability, not amassing wealth for yourself, not spreading lies, falsehoods, and rumors, not seeing obviously that people are engaged in activities that take away from what should benefit all Ghanaians, and then trying to hide it or cover it up or make excuses. No. We have unprecedented levels of corruption in Ghana today. She said this yesterday at our town hall meeting. And it's something that all Ghanaians should be deeply concerned about. And as we continue to look into our future, because this election is about our future, it's about our destiny, we are completely convinced that there's hope in the People's Manifesto. So I'm just really humbled by the way she has conducted herself. I know many Ghanaians are, especially women, not just because she happens to be a woman, but because of the very messages that I have just articulated. And so we remain very confident as Sempa that as we go to the polls, we will remember these messages and act accordingly. The truth of the matter is that John Dramani Mahama is the person to take this country out of its circumstances. And so I think that as she has presented herself through the goodwill and the declarations of His Excellency President Mahama, Ghanaians themselves will have the opportunity to see in her messages and certainly in the actions of our flag bearer that this is the person to vote for. His name is John Mahama.
Obviously, this is the very first time that Madam has toured the 16 regions of this country. Beyond what you have written in the People's Manifesto, what has she been telling the people?
Well, I think one of the things that is very unique about Professor Opoku Agyeman is her ability to empathize and understand people's pain and their anguish. And so each time she comes in contact with people, she takes the time to understand their unique issues. So when she comes across fisher folk, some of the corrupt activities that have taken place with access to premixed fuel, she speaks of specific issues. She herself, coming from a seaside community, appreciates some of those challenges. When she goes into cocoa growing communities, we are all aware of all of the unfortunate misbehavior that has taken place in relation to access to fertilizer. These are tools and implements that are important for our cocoa farmers to be able to come out of their challenges with poverty. So they are real specific to each individual. When she meets with youth groups, she understands that their big issues are jobs. So apart from just talking about the big push and talking about how they're going to access things through the People's Manifesto. She also encourages young people to understand that they can take their own destiny into their own hands based on the choices that they make. So she can become very specific in her conversations based on the issues that she's listening to. And I think that is the kind of leadership that she herself has noted in President Mahama.
Hello, Mawena. Hello, Mawena. Too bad. Episode from say Yashre Mawena Treba Ewa Homana. So, but you be more than enough. Yasin Yano ni Atua and come chuchi and so sisi ala no video to some drink Adom 106.3 FM. But in the Asempa. Quickly, enche you be kona fe de bokratano. Ya boboso. But answer ni be nyano maminko. Na I'm not sure about just say what now. See, be wise what now. See me more makwaba. Episode for you me some drink am.
Enkanso.
Maybe abokwa no pay. 72 hours. Yeah, ko. Ose.
Yeah, koto.
Obeto.
Oh yeah.
Ebiwa obeto.
For once. Oza.
But this year the obeto.
This year the.
What to about way?
Me to about wo. Here ready. Wokrom manhia north.
Wow. And we kwa to wa ba.
Beka news you ma so bi.
Dai dey na say. Permission na Australia na no. Ebiwa, what to about way?
Azamba me macho me enkan macho about wo constituency saying.
Hey.
Almost 2.
Okay.
Na baako kumase. Mato baako ewo he Tachiman.
Oh, okay.
Me machini.
Hey, what to happen? Hey. And what to?
Yeah.
What to happen? I
fini room am kasamento.
Oh, okay.
If any ebe me ya ne say.
Yeah.
Obi te so na ne wo ye na mempe. Na madwen ka ho. Se wo ka ho me to aba ma wo na wudi nsem hu na am hwe odin. Sure sa ni eni bon no. Na me mayem kokomoti say 4 years beba. Na se nipa no ye ne wo peso a wote ho no mo a no wo say ma take decision bi a emfaso aba ntimi de abandem tato.
Oh, okay. And ajwa dey say na social de to aba.
Dey me hwe to aba.
Say ebi wa Canada o say basa fi wo kwato nti dey so na abehwe.
Afi aba na me kwato. Say yes say bi enyansafo tena fie. E ma say bi mpreduase ma no siso bi na so. Sebi nkrofo bi ekọ si hene a ohene ne hyemra ye nyina ye de ye di mra ne so
okay
nti se bra na so se ye kosi hene a e wasa me ka ho bi
okay
ye nyina ye kosi sa hene no to oba mra obehye bi ya no se de bi wa ka bi ni se me ka ho bi ye si sa hene no ba se bi na matena se 50+1
okay
nya one wine
okay
se ba na me de ne wine no
oh
na afi man control na akọ runoff
no okay
nti me koto just to prevent runoff.
Oh, okay. I don't think I'll cut to
because if you see the Brenya, COVID in the Easter, Valentine Christ, said any Nisa, any year Easter, and I don't know for the COVID dear Muso. If you bring a party and transfer my runoff for Mamma and couldn't go right 2010. I said,
Bompie Bono, be so bompie for runoff, for be so bompie for 1 touch. New Year come. It's a commission, I shall say, oh, say, I assemble. And commission, who is I?
From day one.
Yeah, pusuna homa pa yes abekano
as empa from day one.
Yeah.
Me makache Ghana ni bia say.
Jennifer.
Kan kiro sa de o ye no why boneda. Se nya wo no ewo obia ne se ne osi hu ade fa.
Okay.
Se ne uti hoi. Me metumi aka say asempati dadwa. Asempa wo be ma. Obi so wura mu so say asempati amwa asempati se kokko ehedua ntem ni ohun ye ni ehun se difference o
okay
enti se eno so na se mesi okay me pa asempa obi so se me pa asempa
yeah
eno no nyame nyaage wo ho
okay
enti woni pakro no me de makasa hwe wasetena na awom sesei no enya akona kotutia ne wote so
okay
eya manipa no nto aso se vision obi enya ehye ni bottom na mi tie se bi anka nyame se ebekosei asempa wo hu wo se todo mo bo mo se nyame se ade ense ne beko ba we dia se nyame se ya anto ama weyi a menya sofo ba mi we en convince me
okay
entimi se sama dwen
when you come say fear
no men ka say fear ready and dem ntimi nka
Okay.
Boy. What baby or die ya was on a die and but me as an individual
and convince
me.
Okay. Why you are doing that?
Oh,
wow. I help us be sub. Okay.
Wait, you chira campaign away. Because say Ekoba say, oh, me who say on say previous years no, we who suffer be said the body prima was here be a me who say assume sikuta franca. And we are different. Nah, we subeka say nyamese say ya nto ama assume si ana so benten a.
Ghana be come back to 83.
We
a prophetic campaign. I was my call so brown after me got to drink also I'm gonna wrap it up. The various political parties I'm gonna wrap up now you go soon to the bedroom PNC aso na fe ye vice presidential candidate Dr. Divine Aivo Abeka Doc what you can watching
me too kan
bibi abokwa no pay
bibi aboko
and about ya say anti most more campaign no aproboni so far it is saying
Yogusu, a man for dreams is
that's the start to say electric shock in the enemy.
No electric shock. Ne omu can say I say a cherry kakra, but your messages no. Your messages omu G2 say. Omu to Abama number 9 on Monday Ghana basis.
But look, the MPP NDC was on more campaign, yana a more shipper, but smaller political parties, you know. As a moon to me, crown tore all the constituencies, told I must share them, more releasing messages about Naya can be a mammo. I didn't hear.
Yes, some more. Sitan udodona omwana omuboy busuya omwana omuboy kakrakra enti but ne say Ghana for abre Ghana for idea to Musa, Omaya dear pa MPP ni NDC 20 years. Nyombe to me ya Omaya. Sisiano omu pe a different person. Omu pe different government. Ebetua ejumanuso.
Doctor, okay, so omwana ebuamu kakra MPP ni NDC omwana mamuska kakra on.
Akabeka ko fa wo hin.
Oza.
Obi anka me meka.
And the moment source of founding every party bell.
Every bibia.
Oh, and Timothy.
Abaya never bow. Obey then. Say ye multi democracy Ghana. Enti never ba.
And the MPP for Mamokakra and NDC so Mamokakra.
Amankansa. Me say ebuanu efri omoho never.
And I saw more need ya MPP ni NDC or more and your munina mamon kakra.
I bet that's
now mamma kakra they send a campaign no more momo.
Oh they be any say Cecilia men who say SHS for no over 300 kids the children are almost SHS no. Say no be university idea almost home. The PNC who say education is human right. Any party kutua yeba yebema on free tertiary education. Obi obekwan bia obua because dada yomanye. Inti ye na yeba abeye. Healthcare susu ye ma free healthcare because tisia no enya area bia na NHS card no etumi ebua nipa. Inti ye programs no ma enije ba to say a 4-lane highway a bet construct major infrastructure from south to north a be boa pa edu kumasi a be frusu
Now doc as a political party now mo source of funding mo depend wo the larger political parties in what to me are funding more activities. I didn't hear.
Want to be there?
They've been coming at least as a serious party.
And then first time I watch this item.
Yeah, tete, but then what be so me so.
And yeah, catch Ghana for say. So mo pen cry pa. party crowd me ma wo mo asem se ne etie ni PNC almost to abama PNC a bibi ekosu bia ye beka kire wo mo fancy because incredible a daddy who can na wo ato utimasiya.
Does it mean say election year be banner say the two main parties say ka say yem fande mo a na za mo party na egu no
oh say yesu ye besisa ye niama say parties kiti bebre no obi antua juice yesu ye besisa say ye be some funding sources be at to ho anyame pair e be 4 years time no na akoye yi ye better funders so see our funders ni nyina omo party akese no mo obi ansa wo mo enti wo ye den a wo be share bi
Doc, me bacho mutumi fill day 275 candidates were all the constituencies.
Baby.
And the constituencies do not sign a mutumi nya Moncroft be contested.
I contested for parliamentary candidate.
Me bacho why?
Oh yeah, you're filing for 40 pe.
Mo filing for 40 pe.
Yeah.
Like I said, my membership and Kati across the south.
Eba. Yeah, all party. Nipa no ho. Na, ya dia. Omo nimu se, ye bedru baby a dru. Only a small party, they be obia kan asemu tiawo. So mudia mun so hwe, mudia mun ko hwe minute. But sisiano Ghana Kromuha, PNC is number 3. Jordan Ebehu, PNC power. Because Apasara ni ye chairman, Doniba, Oma for northern areas no, any western and western north. Omu weki ho papa. Mimi fa Volta, sama kwaya ibeni. Intimiso promises are me yama free fishing harbor ye be see ama wom cold stores ye be to kita any a fish processing plant ye be ye kita whole airport ye be done no international airport down by ye the bridge be see ho Ketakrachi ama ho aye tourist hub into your programs ye di ba no ema obiere ni eji Kana for a GD say, ye ba, ye be geniama, papa. Corruption so, ye chiwa do tum. Unda prison, start ti yakwasiasema. And ye be bowoto, because anyesa corruption will tune to me. And so Ghanaian community say, obi corruption, ye friend of blessing. Ye be sitasa anyamanu. Sinyamina Ashirano, and Yan Bonsam and Ashirano. Now,
Doc, with your city and as a Momo Banase, or be engaging in corruption, mobile lashing it across an patron.
Oh, immediate Chinua Genesika at Tony Fee, at Tony Cars, Edinaco, 2 years here. Now, the fear here, a yakwasa, some any Yanunu baby.
Mobile Quack or lashing or Fiasipa.
Yeah, lashing or Fiasi. Yetitino. Wanya titi papa.
I asked some more, Doc. Me bacho 2016. How many parliamentary candidates in Amutumi FXIOM?
I don't know. Ye per se be call you dim. Usu pe history dada.
Dabi ya na hu here pa ni hu. And I won't need figures no.
Many figures no has to say.
Oh, won't need figures no. But this year they
are election new AIB. Then I may expect it. But me know say old history and come fast abuku no di buy.
Okay, Doc, that expectation there waka habo mo be ye waka just say ba say dey be ya mo be winning ni asem no.
Oh you be winning pa there. Say nyame pair. Your next ruling government will Ghana be a PNC. Because north no 5 regions no omo gie tumu pa say yetuminya 2 million wo ho ena misuminya 1 million wo Volta any oti akoye 3 million me suffer 7-day Adventist suffer man sorry nipa 1 million ewum se minya 500 a omo gidi se nyame ena esuma mia yanya 3.5 yebe winning with 54% of the vote.
Now, Doc, osofo anka wo gidie ukọ wa sorry a nipa 1 million kra wo ni gidie se obetumi anyamu 800 ye wa wo fie o ye wa sorry
me ami fie o na Ghana na me wo obusu asem ewo etumi o hapa yes elections no akoye se micro mini akoye se say enti midi to half menya busa enyame na yeda na si.
And at the end of the day, say easy transfer na or be declare nipo winning a presidential race na ye PNC.
PNC. Would within 3 days maba station no na mabe adan krofasi.
And the banisa na baby amunya fans in fear no mobeka kotua on.
Oye ntia beda wa me say abansika.
The bansiga na mde mamo.
Yes, you betcha be to her for 4 years time. Omo mbehian no na ya maum kakakakakaka. Edi ka kiti we bia siso amaum. So musumunko ye campaign no bi. Na eye say enyina ye democracy.
Well, Prof, ne krakra no message ben pana na modinam amoka Ghana for.
Yes, ye ba ahuto ye bema Ghana ni bia anya ahuto. Omo mu da kiosk mu ye dru omo ho omo ma ketua ye 200 300 400 ye dru omo ho omo ni bibi da because 2 years rent no omo ni bi ye dru omo ho omo babeko school ye dru omo ho school no e free obia betumi akobi education no a human right say otwa so obia nya kwan enye say wo sika nkwan na wo tumiko obia tumiko hospital a human right wo yare a twa say aban and make sure say what yapo a wo hu ye din a ye bema obia anya dwuma ye obia benya dwuma ye wo kromu ha agriculture sector ye be boost any first government will start paying down the national debt about be anyhow agent
Doc, me and phone see the end was it. Why? We wish you well. 72 hours.
I will call you on Monday.
Mate, nyamiasum drink out. You better send them a see. Why? I was for Dr. Divine Ivo, a PNC vice presidential candidate, and I'll see an nutrition command. Adom 106.3 FM. was just on it. 28 minutes after 7. One joining. I am watching Adom 106.3 FM. DWASO NSEM Medina Debrewe. Medina Sempa. Well, you're from Theresa Diana with them. I'm not sure about you. I say, well, ABY or more. And Tiafi Meko. Not the Bocrata and Momboso Toto. I am to us join your Facebook watching come on channel 72 hours here kwako to aba me patron come share ahodua edifo ni share you know why didn't you send a comment why making kind of the amount I was your former me an interesting revelation Dr. Ivo Diaba I'm see omo musika no e wa na munya fi oh, so I kind of pray. So for SD so. Ade.
One okran no abeka no.
Oh, and then I was with him no credit.
No, sir, political parties na nkasa. Akizu mo say, mo no ma sponsor we mo na mo de omo ba. Mo no ma sponsor we mo na mo de omo ba. Eti wo we kan we say, ti sa akese mienu na yesa adwuma ne de a. Enti na no special voting na agency kro mu ni bi wo no. Ade wono no ehia no eti wokọ ba bia NDC de baako MPP de baako smaller parties ni agents because onu obi na asoma no 2% for agent ka no omuni bi mpo
well abusia mame kwa man some bra he fa na reho me ba twese enkola mako 4 omo we ba ne se na omo we ye be ko yensa ka Esther e wo ahoma no so Esther what me ka nyame asom dwen ka Esta bibi abokwa no pay.
Bibi anya bokwa sa was Springsex so anya bokwa ka oba Springsex road area your friend the Temple Estate and no power dia fienda na jobeka no power dia nya. Anya bokwa ka ne bi si da na fi yewe.
Esta edi ampa de course boy amane.
Andra na ju na yeti say jato ne baba ko no baby am here no one or mercy uncompleted be like 2 finished apartments and on only kiosk no way but why I call me sir and yet say a jatum but unfortunately me ma for and ka for me no career and I look me baba ko woman che no mo ma me ko shop and I see you nim say ye bi some no mo say light Mama no shop our mouth, you couldn't see me pointing Colana Pen or one, Jammy to Musa no man to me and PA. And now, Munina, but yet, Monsieur Mununa, gas, gas, and BDA, Mamma or provision shopping to BDA, and to BDA bottle, and because I yet yours a yen Jancy, and so Muna to be any more gas, Muna explode. And see, when they didn't take anything.
Me bacho enkola for ne penesi ya wo.
Enkola for ne penesi.
I man na mema omumfie no obetimi abobacho en.
Ntafo ni ma mienu.
Me bacho se ntafo ni ma mienu.
Ntafo ni ma mienu. E na tell ya na so yo ba. Ena ba ko no so ye bema. Ne so ta ba no ye bema. Ntafo mienu. E na tell ya oba. Ena Mr. Babako Bema.
Me baton koma ya twetwe ho betimi akọ Facebook na afa watch videos ya rehosema ba na emom Esther se nkrofo bi gina won chen ya na omo catcher ta for me metumi ne ba ko akasa why na ba ko nkasa na ya nhye too bad hebusia rehosema ba twese nkola 4 Spintex Temple Estate ho na esi ye wo hello baton timi kan me watching
me pacho already
mame nyame ne hene abotre me pacho mame ben amne ne kasai
pacho FM Sharoni
mame Sharoni me pacho woti hobby
me pacho ani
entin kwale ya film we ni momo
pacho omu ya bi neighbor
omu ya neighbor na mame ba ne same time ben e jani fiase
Journey started around 10 p.m. 8:30.
Be 8:30 mo ne jana efiase. Na me pacho mama no kwen.
No shop. The provision shop was adjacent. Into mama no shop and nkɔde nkɔla ne ɛkɔ ɔmo fie hɔ.
Na yasemo na ye ka say maame na nkasa wan.
Ipacho ya jina she obi fie. The situation now it's really traumatized. Very traumatized.
Me ti ase pa me kra me ni hobi kra arewa ka me na ya semo maame no ono pani nkola ne neti anase obi ti omo nchen ni kunu wo hobi oni nkola ne peneti
nkola no 4 years
omo nyina nya 4 anase 4 3 2
plan me no ta 4 no me nya 7 ene o me chire ba 4 years ene ne to saba we nya 10 years. I'm going to start or 20 month holidays when I'm
saying. At the time, a generation, what me fire service for?
I'm fire service. I called the fire service and then they told me they were on their way. Everything was just burnt into ashes.
I'm just imagining Emrana a generation na motin kola ni sun moti o monti atiamo. What was it? Hello, hello.
Yes. Hello.
Me pacho manti hone papa.
Me pacho.
Na me bisa se Emrana a generation ma bomodin sembe yin kola no na moti enkola ni sun o monti atiamo ni.
Congested, no one could even enter the house.
Okay, so no one could enter the house. I mean, Papa Trim.
Not around. So we tried. When you see a fire, we use water, like anything we could get to just.
Too bad me too much out to me say Crawford be trash ya wa hopa and Crawford ba ho dosun ye.
MP for Semawe. He was here yesterday. Assembly man was here yesterday.
Maybe I ready there, but they can't say much. Why? Too bad. I was for a rehosamo, indeed. Adding. Ko Facebook, Nafe, Koshe, the Kosun, Komaya Chichi, Koshe.
Jim FM.
Some more 38 minutes after 7. Massam near Mekobama, you say. Adding. And your bunny say, I dear can is a BBI radio, but we dear Minjin this if you're radio. And your money be aware, Coswa. Well, your carcass is saying. Maybe one year not sure about Monsum.
Asampa ye som de ubon krata na ba ne mfa de sede nto awofo anim enkwada no bebre wo fie se se obi a nko school no uyi woni a form 2 for no ne omo ayama kwan se omo nkona kwala nketewa ne wo fie we ka ho a bebu sumi mienu nansen oba bi a yeso onso sofo ba bi de onso ne ma amasaman onso ne ma nan saa jesi omu nyina oseme twade aba wo enkwada na yeje omu wo fie no ena obi ayusu gas obi ayusu gas e bi so ana wo light ho niema bi enti yesre wo ja nkwada na wo fie na wo pepani bi obeka wo mo ho enkwada hye enkwada ya doso yesre omo nkanka ne sa biri wo
nkwada no mo dru stage bia no mo ho aya ahometi me kai tama me ma me mo baaye na ketwa no kro wo mu timi ko gina bo no so wamia so na age pre no ahwese kane ana so a no wamia so na age pre no ahwese adumu a you know
omo de diagram
se wo hu bibia eti wuja wo no nko a wo fie and imagine I'm saying for no 7 years so can afford was no no better no watia ketwa no
enta fo mienu nyina
chese
mi awra go se bia bo so mienu kura mai gra he ya ye sukura nwie yo na ne man nan omu even ba ko pekura no hwe se de sitie na nan ni nyina atumi afiri wusa afi na wo busa se me koye den kura wo store that day ohu kura no an kura kama ne nko store ko ntina fie na won hwe ne
nkola ye nti so na obre yo
obre ye ntia aba se wuntimi kura mfa aduane nhye wo wuntumi nna imagine say wutu kwan kura eja wo ba ye mata wutu kwan kura eja wo ba first week no ya na nye easy na wo frefie busa ma wada osu eti say na wada sore na o man nan nyina free wunsa just like that ti ebesra wo fo no ye besra wo mo pa se Ghana no ankasa no nye nyina na ye ho ayen utim se ntam
yeah
said yesterday ka kai and also mo ton bidie and a cylinder so wo ho so imagine enkore do stage ko mutimi pa matches keke otimi pa no de so ade ma hwese
bederia
ti agine nsam a won kan kire obia no wadwane no akogina bonti betia ne go ti niema bi wo hono mo a meka na no kire ruko one day ne nam traffic mu and won say so mo gas as a gun be de so gas na ni pan begina bra unto bi de so ti wey na san ka de nkira me ya hye fie ti se wo pia ye niema bi a wo ni sa akora ne fa ebetumi ade owie na abat matches blade nse kan ne niema no you put it out of reach baby ankoda ni ntimi nru kra nkofa and even in the first place dey bi waka hu hia se obeja wo ma yes enim se ya abata wo se ye adwuma ni e pepe bibi ma ye madi bedum bia se made bi kra na obenya panyini bi obetimi atena chide ana wo kwa se osofo ma me mpo na wo bi ude fa nkra de koja wo mo se mesro me kwa aba hwe me ma me na nkoda de wanyini wo mfie nson na se meja wo mo wo fie me koton ade abas as late as 8 o maya
Ayasamo yanko de bokrata no so na
abusia ye di daily guide be hyase anopai na krata famiensa wo ba se ya ns kofie du na atraba o se Ghana ba pani dada na ekwadu agema Rollins abre ene kunafo ya eso wo se wonsi from wanya sinsuom eti nie wesi nani sobota ye si nani so no wo be ko ho na wo chese NDP wo sre Ghana fo wo de wo osu wo frɛ kwabene ni birisi no wakambo mu ene eso na sene eso wo sre ni kunu nti wo so ni pa kura pejari asem bia no se nye NDC asem eye NDP so pejari asem nko ade a ene enwona ofo ne former debut nye former inona of former president mam kanisa John Rollins kona kotoma no oso osre juada we wo hyedem no ode ade sei eba etimu a na medojari oso ye NDC o wo ye MPP o wo dojari a kotoma NDP na fa hye na nuonyam ne wode aba no nutiawa na ekwadu ade sede eno no na wo bakata fa enan so a ensem bi ewo ha sei Free University no say NDC for the wom na MPP for so the wom wo bia se Free University wo ba na bi de no wonum kire say wo de wo Ghana card ebeje bosia na wonum awie school mu no ne de Free Senior High School kwada no wo mo be kono kwa scholarship wo kona akori de a ubetua na NDC for the no so wo chese COVID nti wo be hwe no waboa na no beginning no na nka omo se echempe se wo mo se ni nyina yo fa ni nyina eno na bi kire mo se da bi asam no NDC for ka no ewo mu anu abesesa wano ewo mu anu abesesa wano eti ni on de e wo ka ne say yes scam eyo wo so omo de ende enye scam we NDC for the ende scam ni odi abeto no no abusia daily guide ni odi ababi no say the politics ni ti obi a baby afa enne wo ho
the new weekend crusading guide let's say crusading guide do fi adase anom the weekend na be se baby
agamba chocho me o mic na gakrama me
new weekend crusading guide je obokrata eni krame wa na se de na nakonedu agiman wadi kan kasa na mu nsem bi ebi wa yakoso ntimi nsan enko biem na afa so na nabi na naboache enso se NDC amanyoko nsem a wo mokeka se free tertiary no eno no eye krokro de John etima Ghana fo ni enu achi ema yento aba ema NDC amanyoko na na de nkwakufu ado Ghana man pani so akasa wose NDC fo person o mugi free SHS star o mani asasa asem na o kan no kurenti o mepa Ghana fo nyina chew they owe us an apology Ghana man pani asem a workedi na there is an interesting story new weekend crusading guide mu kata freto so miensa mamu boso tell said de yi agukansie mu mrantie no wo mo aye card no new crusading guide say ahwe Kofi Apalu wo ba kodam ansa na dwade duru nyam na meka o new crusading guide na eka na wo mo se sa bere wo gina aya Accra High Court ya oba bi se waje no 150,000 pounds sterling and you because na 150,000 pounds sterling kodi Kofi Apalu no when the buaten say February 2017 or one wo kwa ye wo Kumase na damfo bi e de na chi Kofi Apalu say oh LPG flag bearer no kora no woni na na eja woni Apalu so wo fa man
yeah
and na wo mu fra se so mu didi nkomo na ne wo mu nkomodie ni mu so se twan ebi ase na Kofi Apalu say oh na ni je ho ntop nyam na me ka o krata na eka
okay
wo pese wo ne ne tena na eja ntena ye mu a afi wo so wo na Kofi Apalu omotenai
okay
Kofi Apalu say wo see construction company no wo de je contract fira ban a wo ti so ho
okay
enti oba no wo sika wo mfa sika nguram na eba bo mienu nyina na ni oba no so eja oba wo hu be ma wo do no
o aden
en wo tabli kakra
ne ho akode
en wo de ma wo ba no an wo se Kofi Apalu ka che ne say oh se be ya gidie ho some trust issues amamunti no wo mo ba ware ani mani mu yai no ba ne say se nkom se ya so fi se ye no kre machia bi kunu wa ha etu so ho no ma na Kofi Apalu kwad ni fru plane call Turkey
oh okay
ti Turkey memu no ko share ne promise ring there began had a look at do it was a brofo wo kan ye dem nyam na me kokratad was wear this ring with pride knowing that I have given my word to you without any reservation whatsoever
vow no
okay we set for sasubo na sheka wa we me Kofi Apalu na mde ahyewo ya obi abusa wa se me na mde ahyewo eno kwa nam so mo se Kofi Apalu tu betra ne nche wo fie nyina wo so be ma na relocation
oh sir
empana na say ya wade
oh na ya show ka why dey self promise
empana twemu de yenko moka complain
oh the
empana twemu ka body empana twemu ka body complaints ni
you was ever now okay
unless you don't know empana twemu ka body complain ya
je keep your promise what say oba ne kwa no se me pema chompani fo mo sinkonwa okoto ha mini Kofi Apalu tena ya afa drusi akware o se oba ne na eka wo wasi Kofi Apalu ni magya ne nyina ne sa da ya afa o ne me beda o se se bi meto na obefa na me se da bi sumutu de ye
we nyina akoso I see no jade kokot
it was
LPG Kofi Apalu obedi president o na dey no ye me
Kofi Apalu di kaje no so de kwaje contract we ECG nti we say 150,000 ye bubu no 20,000 pounds ye contract ECG contract and 10,000 pounds so was what de kwaje bompata kwan say we contractor na why yes a kwan no
na say ni oboa no
and 15,000 so
odomo ade
pounds asem na me ke 15,000 Ghana cedi was here no de kwaje contract and go mbepam school uniform amankwada na afa so kura no was that another 30,000 and so ECG de no bi na say ya benti mam 30,000 pounds
adwa wonim oba no nya botre Kofi be the president and Obenya first lady
meanwhile information gathered indicates that Mr. Akpadu is likely to face jail terms if he fails to settle the debt he owes the lady even before the day of general election slated for December. No,
Mate, was young men fancy everywhere back home. Na sorry.
Just take bedegbe.
Okay, yes, sure. And
the last speech a woman na ayesu. Yes, or day aye jumano. Ene se okwa umjim ne domo a ekohia no etimra obona ni se na che se wo shina bushia wa won kai no no wa bra ye to aba ni wie ye asem esi ye no 2012 day na say na 2016 na say anko court make a court asem eti abushia 2012 day no Justice Nasiru Sulemana Gbedegbe abushia ne bere no aso o kofie ti se wa hu ni biewa pension na aso na nse ayiso da so e de ye kwoto aba na ye wie no
ya oda so de biba
was say NDC fo anya 75% ewo Ashanti region mare
an NDC ebe ana MPP asem na okay
NFC no
MPP asem na okay
MPP
omanya 75% ate nyamene ngene ebusiamo mi fancy na mra so sie de agudi mo nsem ebre o